Welcome to Transforming Us podcast. I'm Jess.
And I'm Tamara. We're trauma-informed relationship coaches and old friends here to discuss common patterns and what leads us to paths of security.
You know, people are feeling overwhelmed and disconnected in their painful relationships, which often leads to mental health crises.
We want to share some new ideas and practices to help you cultivate curiosity, compassion, and to redeem the patterns in your relationships, starting with yourself.
Join us on this journey of transforming us. Grab a cup of coffee and let's dive in. Hey friends, last time we had a conversation about protecting your partner rhythm, and now we're swinging to the essential yet often stress-inducing conversation of being teammates and the teammate rhythm. So during this holiday season, this is where most couples crash because there's just so many tasks and so many things to remember and plan, and things get forgotten, and then there's fights, and it's just an extra important time to have conversations around mental load and being good teammates.
Yeah, it's so true, Jess, because I feel like the biggest problem there is just like the invisible stuff. It's the invisible labor, the mental load. Like one person is usually holding 90% of maybe the cognitive stress, thinking like, did I order the stamps for the Christmas cards? When will the kids, wear the matching outfits? Who is organizing the dessert? Just all these little things that we think about. This uneven distribution is a classic toxic pattern that actually breeds deep resentment if you're not aware of it.
Yeah, I feel that, and I can think of so many times in my relationship that my husband and I are just not on the same page. Like I tend to, as a homeschool mom, have a lot of tasking that goes on in my brain that is invisible. And, my husband might see that I'm on my phone a lot, but he doesn't realize that I am doing to-do lists and emails and teacher contact and just different things that require a lot of mental energy as the planner of the home. And so then the unseen part of that role starts to weigh on me, because then when there's lots of seen chores and tasks, and at the same time that's not 50-50, it's just there's an overwhelming stacking up of feeling like I can never relax, and I can't have moments to just do something fun for myself or be alone or whatever, because there's just always things to do. And the conversation usually goes something like, what are you doing with your time? Like that's what he asked me. And I mean, then the monster comes out, because I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing with my time?
Yeah.
Like I am so frustrated because you have no idea all of the things I am doing. And so what we did is we started a mental load task list together.
It's awesome.
So what about you and Taylor? How does that feel for you?
So it's so interesting. I've been thinking about this a lot because we're in this really weird season right now. I think like for so long, I don't know, we were always just so busy, I think carrying a lot like together equally. Like I was, raising the kids when they were younger. Well, we both were, but like I was with them a lot. I had a very flexible job being a fine artist. So I was doing my art business, pouring into that. And then also just doing a ton with my girls and all the parts of motherhood when they're, young and they need you a lot. And then we'd build houses together. We would renovate together. We would build furniture. Like that was one of the things that Taylor and I love doing together. But it's so interesting right now this season. I don't really like it, if I'm honest. It's like interesting because, Taylor started Cottonwood Construction 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, which is crazy. So that has been a lot of mental load for him. Like he is running a construction company. He has project managers. He has field guys. He's got all of the weight of running a large, business company on him. And I feel like, my season has shifted with my girls, all the things, the busyness of like the physical things that I was doing when they were so much younger with them have shifted. But I feel like I'm taking a lot more of the emotional parts of the parenting because we're in the thick of teen years and we have 2 daughters. And, it can feel at times a lot emotionally as far as, watching the things that teenagers have to go through and you're being there for them and all of that. And then also, I do have a flexible job as a fine artist, and obviously I'm getting into coaching. So I have a lot of flexibility, so I can do a lot of tasks around the house and that type of thing. So I feel like our loads are very different, like they look very
Mhm.
different right now. But I think what's
Yeah.
really helped us is because they feel so different and both of our loads are full in different ways, is learning how to really hear each other, even though we might not resonate with that same thing, to just stop and really listen to each other so that we feel seen and heard.
Mhm.
That has been huge. Um, so, even though Taylor, and, he's not a female, he's not wired like me, mothers are different when it comes to relational things and
Mhm.
feelings and all the things that we see our kids go through that are hard. I mean, he's very sensitive, but you know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
different a lot of
Yeah.
times with the mom. And so,
Mhm.
him learning to just be like, well, this is how, this feels heavy to me today because I've had to watch blah, 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 blah. It's been hard. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so even though he might not resonate with it as a male as much, and his load is very different in what he's handling, he is stopping to really hear me and be sensitive to how I'm feeling, even if
Mhm.
he might not really feel the same way
Yeah.
about something, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think just remembering that the weight of a load is the weight of a load. And so
Yeah.
you may carry a more emotional load and he may carry a different type of load with his business, but hearing and having empathy for what that feels like to the other person is how you can be good teammates. I love that.
Right.
Yeah, Travis and I have a simple tool that has really helped unload some of the weight in the way that you're talking about, where we can understand and just see and be on the same page about what is really happening and what is the weight that our partner is carrying. We have a shared kind of load audit. We have this notes in our iPhones, but you could do it on a piece of paper, it could be on a whiteboard. It's up to you how you would do that to both see it, um, but it makes the invisible visible.
Hmm.
So you would basically list everything that needs to happen for the next month, whether it's on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or a monthly basis. And some of those things are not just tasks, some of them are even just emotional things. Like we need to make it a priority to have family time or date nights or personal exercise time. Like there is some people would call this just like a schedule, but the schedules often have mostly just your appointments and your commitments, whereas this mental load is a little bit more than just that. It's the planning and the priorities for all different buckets of your life. And
Yeah.
so having even categories within the mental load is helpful. We've found with a way to like check things off. So, and then assign them to each other. So it's like, okay, these are Jesse's like mental load things, and these are
Hmm.
Travis's mental load things.
Right.
And when we have, usually once a week, we kind of have a meeting and we look at that stuff together, we update it, put anything else on the list, check anything off that's like no longer relevant. It really helps us feel like we're in this together. We're good teammates. So you can express the unseen and make it seen. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what we do. And it's been really, really helpful.
That's awesome. Yeah, once it's all laid out, divide the labor based on capacity and preference. So you don't have to fall into old patterns or overwhelm or blame. Just ask your partner. It could just be saying, if we make an audit and we, put down our mental load tasks, which half of the load feels less draining to me and which half feels less draining to you? I mean, just something that simple.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm glad you mentioned that. You each have your own unique temperament. So, like we've talked about with Enneagram numbers and just the way that we're wired, each of you are going to possess certain gifts to carry loads differently. So, that makes a lot of sense. And a critical piece for wisdom as teammates would be Sharing the load isn't just about making sure the house is clean, it's also about gifting each other the space for timeouts, exercise, and self care. For example, your half of the audit could include a few slots that say family time or, Tamara time or Taylor time. This also might look like soul care time.
Mhm.
So these spaces, as teammates, are saying, I'm going to give you margin,
Mhm.
and that's another good way to be a
Yeah,
good team.
for sure. And I think too, like one thing that's really helped Taylor and I over the years is I feel like if you just both have the heart to like look out for each other, I think just like being married for 24 years and reflecting, um, not keeping so much a record of like, well, I got to do this, so you get to do this. And like, you know what I mean? It feels very controlled to me personally. And I feel like if you're both genuinely, and it takes both partners having to genuinely look out for each other or it won't work. But if you genuinely are looking out for the others' needs to be met, you know, you're going to want them to go take out time for themselves, but it does have to be reciprocated or else you'll become, resentful. But it really works if both people are truly looking out for each other. I have felt that really creates a natural like safety and soul care where it doesn't feel so scheduled and planned out, like because you're just looking out for each other in a sense. But
Yeah.
that's the heart of it, is just when you actively plan for your partner to have space or connect with their authentic, just God created self. You aren't just sharing tasks, you're actually nurturing their well being. And then that makes you an incredible teammate, and then they're going to show up and be a better teammate too because they have had some soul care.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the most invisible tasks that I'm currently holding in my mind and feeling resentful over? And how can I delegate or share them with my partner this week? Those are some
Yeah.
questions. Like, that's a good question for us to be thinking about.
Perfect. Yeah. So as you guys go out your week and think about ways to be on the same team, like I am for you. I've heard you say that a lot. Like when your partner knows that you are for them and that we're carrying it all together, but that you also want to know what they're carrying, you really have so much compassion in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we want to encourage you to take 30 minutes this week to do this shared mental load audit, whether it's on paper or something digital. This really could transform a cycle of resentment into empowered teammate action.
Yeah. But we just thank you so much for popping in our little mini episode. May you be aware and open to everything that comes to you today, welcoming it all for your transformation. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Transforming Us podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation and that you found it helpful. If you loved what you heard, we would really appreciate if you would take a moment and leave us a 5-star review and rating. Your support helps us reach more listeners like you.
And also, don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more relationship content. Then, if you're looking to take your growth to the next level, check out our coaching services and groups at transformingus.org.
We're here to help you transform your patterns and enjoy more secure relationships.
Until next time, in the words of Raul Shane, you do not need to do big things. Just do small things in a big way. Then transformation will follow.